Hello people, Libluini here with my Let's Play of Dominions 6. As you should know if you're watching this for the last few episodes, we have gem and holograms of our goddess of TNN, Elf Nation par excellence. And now we have winter of the year 1 of the Ascension Wars. And since we started with year 0, this means we are soon arriving at the 3rd year of the war. So we have some messages to deal with. First, a herald has arrived from Agatha. Let it be known that rock and roll, god of Agatha, god of corruption, the hunger below, god of the crafts, proposes peace and a non-aggression pact between our nations. As part of the deal, once god of corruption has ascended, the people of Tirnanok will be remembered for this peace and treated favorably. Oh, that's cute. But in truth, all our armies and servants and shit will just evaporate into nothingness if he wins. But it's also a case of, oh, the AI thinks it's people, because Agatha, the player, has given up long ago. But the AI is far more willing to use the new peace feature. And really, why shouldn't I accept? I don't have no idea who the fuck Agatha actually is, and as an AI, they're basically foot for the real living human players still in the game. So I can give them my nap. It's not that it changes anything. Let's not beat the poor kid down. Then we achieved some research goals and completed them, and we are now back to conjuration research. And then we advanced construction a little bit, so I can finally hopefully forge something to get scouts underwater. And then we have conjuration 4, which is, well, it unlocks some interesting things, like the end of the rainbow. Caster conjures dreams from beyond the gate of Horn to find what lies hidden at the end of the rainbow. All sides of glamour and the targeted province are revealed. That's a very nice spell. As soon as we have that one, we don't have to send our most expensive mages on weird errands. And if we run out of provinces to site search normally, this spell will discover everything, even if it needs more than just 2 or 3 levels in glamour. Or maybe we're getting lucky then. There are of course more interesting spells down there, but they need a lot of gems. So let's see, evocation maybe. Do we have some nice glamour spells here, like the ephemeral bolt, which does damage 4+, so not much, but armor negating. But it's also false damage, which is basically illusionary dream damage. It's as deadly as normal damage, but it comes with the caveat that if all your glamour mages die, then the magic just ceases to exist, since it's just a dream. And of course magic resistance can completely block this spell. The only good thing this bolt has, that's a very long ranged spell. The caster projects a bolt of ephemeral power against his enemies. Drawn from the dream world, the bolt causes the target to imagine itself being wounded regardless of his armor and suffering great pain. But still, 4+ for a combat spell is not much. If we, for example, go back to Lightning Bolt, an air spell of the same level, we get an even longer range, and more than 3 times the damage, and still armor negating. And it will hit both rider and mount. The Dream Bolt will not do such thing. And you get an extra minor area shock, which gives you some more damage, but more important, area shock. Oh, I remember this giving fatigue damage, but maybe I'm misremembering. But anyway, it's fairly not nice. And compared with our ephemeral bolt, this looks like someone accidentally forgot to add a 0 there. I mean, or more likely a 1 in front of it, because with all the drawbacks like magic resistance, negates, and it being false damage, and not be having any extra effect. It having only 4 plus damage is a bit measly. 14 would have made sense, that would have been balanced I think. But anyway, it's not something we can use therefore. What's the next step? Dance of Ephemeral Swords. This is special. Another combat spell, and it only affects the caster. The Ephemeral Swords perform 3 attacks against enemies each turn. The swords are imaginary and deal false damage. Damage from the swords can be avoided with magic resistance. That's something neat for our assassin mages, because they being level 2 glamour mages now not only get additional spells to protect themselves, if we go down that route. If we get to evocation 3, they can use this spell to protect themselves a bit and maybe have a chance against some beefier enemies. Cloud of Dreamless Slumber is interesting. It's a sleep spell as far as I can tell. But I'm not sure it's... Oh, it's a lingering cloud. That's a little bit better. So it's not only a sleep cloud, it's a cloud that causes sleep but will stay there a little bit. But I'm not sure it's that much of useful, and I think we don't have that many air mages anyway. Let's get down here another step. Ephemeral Blast. Again, gigantic range. This time it's a nice area of effect weapon. And this time it does a little bit more damage, but still not enough to actually kill a normal human-sized enemy. Still armor negating the protection does nothing. And it's false damage, so it can still be resisted. A little bit more useful. But wow, we'll need a lot of this shit. The only good thing is, apparently the fatigue cost is fairly low. It's still at 10. While let's look at some other from the same part. Well, Thunderstrike for example. Thunderstrike, of course, had eternal range across the entire battlefield. Area of effect for this version is smaller. Fatigue cost is titanic. A mage with 3 in air can only cast this 2 times before falling asleep. But it also does a fuck ton of damage. But on the other hand, if you can mass enough level 3 mages, then that's 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 potential damage. So in other words, the Ephemeral Blast can potentially do more damage simply because he has such low fatigue. On the other hand, the Thunderstrike is just a giant fist of God hammering down. So in a combat between an air mage and a glamour mage, the glamour mage would need to hit multiple times, while the air mage just needs to hit once. So it's a bit iffy. It's not exactly a competition in the case of a duel, but I guess on the battlefield, if you have enough mages, you could potentially use the larger area of effect weapon of the Ephemeral Blast to just remove large groups of enemies before the Thunderstrikes kill all of you. Potentially. I'll have to see this in action to make some final decision. Then we have Ghost Wolves, which is a version of an old air spell, and it sucks shit. The only difference now is that instead of summoning ghost wolves that are just like wolves in everything except being illusions, those illusion wolves can now do fake damage too, and it's counted as magic damage. So those ghost wolves can actually hurt a lot of creatures normal wolves wouldn't be able to, so it's nice. Then we have Illusory Army, which has not much range, but it creates over 20 illusionary warriors. As they are illusions, they are not very useful, but like all of the new illusion type enemies, they inflict false damage. which of course is immediately gone if all your mages die, but on the other hand it's magic damage, so even if they can't hurt much, they can hurt nearly everything. Project Self. Now that's a neat little spell we need an additional level in astral magic to actually use, but if we can use it, then it projects ourselves to somewhere else. Well, sadly none of us have a path, none of our important mages have a path in astral magic. But, do we have nothing? Let's see. Well, yeah, no. We went a completely different strategy. But, well, if I absolutely want to, I can just use the astral pelts we're slowly being given and give them to one of our level 3 mages. Or possible to Gem herself. Since she is a titan, with lots of hit points and lots of magic paths, having her image projected somewhere else would be a nasty surprise, because you can do a lot of bad shit if you research endgame magic and have 6 paths in glamour magic. Do we have some really awesome spells down here the line? False Horror, another summon spells, then Illusory Attack. It's a bit like the other spell, some levels deeper, but now it's an attack on another province, sending some glitching winds. Railing Winds, that was another air spell that got retooled to illusion spell, and it targets all enemies with fear effects. Fear works different now, and instead of it being possible to cross routes, it instead lowers the morale of the affected troops. So just using it one time doesn't do much, I think. To actually affect a strong enemy, you would need to use Railing Winds over and over again. I'm not sure if that is useful. Then we have Shimmering Fields, a combat spell with medium range, giant area of effect, and some damage. 9+, it's okay, I guess. But this means we need at least a level 6 glamour mage using the spell to do just enough damage to kill human-sized enemies. And if they are even strong enemies, you need either an even stronger mage or you have to cast the spell multiple times. And it's of course false damage. But since it's armor negating, it's still useful. And you get a Lingering Cloud. The caster projects a storm of ephemeral power against his enemies. Whilst the damage from the ephemeral power is not great, the presence of glamour mages will make it real enough to... Is not real! Ha! My prejudice rewrote reality there for a moment. Presence of glamour mages will make it real enough to kill. The Shimmering Field is not selective and can destroy friends as well as enemies if not used carefully. Now it's an army destroying spell, but it can also destroy our army. Oops. Anyway, fatigue cost is really big, but I think it gets halved with each magic level above the one needed. So Gem and the Holograms, for example, would only get fatigue cost 100 right now. And if she spends 4 gems instead of 2, it's even down to 50, I think. Something like that. Important to note is fatigue goes down as magic power rises. And you can use gems to cast a spell 1 level higher than it actually is. So for example, if I have a level 4 caster, then the level 4 caster can use 4 gems to instantly put himself to sleep, but he can use this spell 1 time. What you can't do is skip multiple levels. So for example, if you have a level 3 caster, then no amount of gems ever made will make him able to cast the spell. The script will just fail in battle. And it's better this way because fatigue cost goes like this. The first 100 points the caster is awake and alive. Then he falls asleep, and as soon as the number of fatigue hits 200, a part of the fatigue over that is counted as real damage, and a tiny 10 hit point mage could very easily kill himself if he overcasts a spell like this. Shimmering Fields is another spell that was an air spell in the last game, doing large amounts of damage, having a giant area of effect and so on. But since there are already so many strong air magic spells, I guess the developers had pity and wanted to give their new baby some strong spells too. Then we have Aurora Borealis down in level 8, long in the future. This is a really weird spell. The caster drapes the night skies in dancing curtains of otherworldly lights. For the remainder of the battle, those weak of mind will occasionally stop in their tracks and stare at the otherworldly splendor, regardless of the battle going around them. Raging around them. I hate my grey spots. The spell can only be cast under an open sky when the sun doesn't shine. In other words, you can only use this spell if the battle starts at night. Or if one of the spells that exist in the game remove the sun somehow, then you can use this at any point. All enemies on the battlefield must occasionally roll magic resistance or get stunned. If cast during the twilight, the roll is an easy check. Mindless units are not affected by the spell. So in the new system in Dominion 6, you can get battles at day, night or twilight. And what this tells us is that this spell does not work at all during the day. And in twilight it does not do much, because it's still not dark enough, but at night, as long as it's not a full darkness I suppose, and it's in the open sky, not in caves, yeah, just to get a chance at maybe stunning the enemy. That's interesting, and I'm not sure I will ever use this. But it's, if we upgrade Gem to a Farcaster to get her annoying visage to play music in other provinces, then she has the requisite one astral path. So it's a possibility. And then there's the Celestial Rainbow, which needs level 5 water, which, oh lucky us, we have level 3 water, which maybe is not enough, but there are several types of magic equipment that can give us additional paths. I think we can even mix it a bit. Let's see, there is a type of helmet that gives +1 to glamour. Then there is a robe that gives +1 to water, and a type of ring that gives +1 to water. And we are already at 5, 3, 6. And if we want to get really mean, there are Fistal Mazes for a +1 in nature magic, and later a tree staff for a +2 in nature magic. So this means if we really want to, we can upgrade her to the point where her magic stats instead will be 5, 5, 7. Which of course also means we can actually use that insane spell. Anything in the lower levels that's useful? Well, Ephemeral Blast. Huh. And enchantment? So anything useful here in the next levels? Before I decide on some really far away... Oh, Simulacrum. What was I thinking about? What was that other spell that needed Astral then? Did I confuse the two? Mirage. Of course I have now completely forgotten which spell I was looking at in the first place. Project Self. Caster sends a projection of himself to a distant line. The projection is an ethereal replica of the caster with the same magical skills as the caster. Items are not projected, but any path boosting magic items will still have effect. Projection will only last enough for one battle. So it's nice, but it's not a simulacrum. What was the simulacrum then? It's level 4, so a level below, and it doesn't need astral, but lots of gems. The caster creates a replica of himself and enchants it with glamour magic to give it false life. The simulacrum will be controlled by the original owner's soul, and the simulacrum also inherits all the magic powers of its creator. In turn, the creator's body is placed in a state of deep... Oh, that was it. That is it. However, there is a chance that the caster's soul will fail to return and become trapped and lost in the dream wild, possibly until his soul withers away and dies. So it's really awesome spell that comes with also really awesome risks. Simulacrum is an almost perfect copy of the caster and will be in play instead of the caster. So while projection beams you somewhere else, the simulacrum instead replaces the caster. If the simulacrum dies, the caster will reappear where the ritual was cast. There is an 80% chance that the caster appears a month after the simulacrum's death. Each month thereafter the chance is reduced by half. The soul withers away after 1 year. So there is, in other words, you exchange yourself with a double. If your double gets killed, well, rejoice, you have an 80% chance of getting back to life. It's a neat little thing, but it's also high risk because, as you just heard, if you get a 20% per chance of getting fucked, then you have only 40% next turn and 20% next turn chance to actually revive. And you can see eventually you have absolutely no chance at all, and then your pretender is dead. Really dead. But I guess if you absolutely want to use your pretender in a major battle or have an important caster you don't want to lose but have to risk, it would be a nice option because then your stunt double can face tank the enemy for a while. And because the real you returns in the province where the spell was cast, this also means that they don't spawn right into the terrifyingly lost battle you fought. Okay, now we're getting too deep down here, but what is Dreamwild Demesne? Level 5 Glamour, 10 and level 5 Research. The caster enchants an entire province with the magic of the Dreamwild, creating a land of hope and peace from misery and woe. As long as the enchantment is active, unrest will decrease and few bad events will disturb the peace. The enchantment is broken if the land is conquered by hostile forces. So the game rolls for unrest reduction each turn, and it prevents about half of possible bad events. So it's not bad. And there is nothing about the spell having any restrictions. Does this mean the enchantment is just going forever and forever and forever? That's weird, but I guess that's why it needs a path level of 5. Fate 8 warriors. Okay, we have to make some decision here. We need at least some combat magic for emergencies. Do we have any kind of upgrade spell for battles? That is a spy spell. Those are summon forks. That's a good question. Because if you have any spell that upgrades our magic by one path, like for example the summon storm or water power spells, that would be nice. You have Phoenix power and of course summon earth power. They don't need any special things like the storm or water power spells respectively, but this means they're also one step beyond. Power of the Spheres is the Astral version, and because it upgrades everything except blood and holy power, it also needs an Astral Pearl to work. Oh yes, of course, I can just sort spells to look easier through everything. There are a lot of nice summoning spells we can use, and huh, uh, huh, I don't know. Everything on old duration. There are some things I want to have at the very end, but for now, what exactly do we need? Oh, that's cute. A nightfall spell. If you use this, it changes twilight into darkness. So I guess if you set up some combo magic, you can still use that other spell we had earlier. Enchantment. Some of the spells we will look at later. Thaumaturgy. Victim will attack anyone nearby. Ends by passing a very difficult moral check. It's some sort of mind control spell. It's of course elf only. Blue means spells are only for this nation you are playing this moment. So other nations won't get this JR spell. Yes, we will look at this in a later turn. Of course, blood magic has nothing related to this at all. Construction magic doesn't have either. There seems to not be a spell that just gives us +1 to this kind of to glamour. So I'm not sure ephemeral blast is something I can actually use in large numbers. But we need Dance of Ephemeral Swords. That's a little upgrade for our mages in case they get attacked. So let's just do this. So we have at least some spells to defend ourselves with. Anything else? Oh yes, here we've started on a quest. Muspelheim, 5 minutes per day daily. But work out the Jotunial. Oh yes, another prophet. I guess Muspelheim recently lost one. Anyway, since we now have this nice lady here auto-searching, this reminds me, this guy can now search here. And then, because we need some glamour sites finally, I put her on auto-search. Mainly because of the water path, so because I think we have now searched everything here. More we can only do with magic power. But there may be some cheap water magic sites hidden. And if we want to do anything underwater, we should be able to do something about our zero water magic income. Oops, that's air games. 3. It's even worse. It's not even enough to forge one measly magic item, I think. Recruitments. The Tuatha sorceress. Level 4. So she is someone who has no trouble using that ephemeral blast spells. Like I keep forgetting where he's only have a chance to get a 3rd level. So our Tuatha sorceresses would be the main ephemeral blasters. And at level 4 they would only get 5 per cast. Together with the encumbrance it would mean 8. So if we combined with some buffing spells, that means they could very easily cast this magic blast spell 10 times in a row. So if you have more than one of these ladies, there's potentially a lot of magic firepower. Something to think about for the ages. And yes, we marched the army sitting here off. Let's give Mohin a rear guard here. Let's continue maxing out our sacreds here. Is there anything we can do? Well, no, we ran out of recruitment points, so let's leave it at that. Mix of nice infantry, sacred infantry, and some useless slingers. Here we are going on and on and on, but we have not enough recruitment points. But next turn we get our first crystal sorceress. And we can... Oh yes, I keep forgetting. Auto-searching means she will now move away. But after that we can start doing some collection run. Great. Those are just no... Yes, no magic... No magic being, which means I could just recruit some rando, like this one, and then use him to shuffle the units back and forth so they don't have to stand out here in the open for too long. So this guy is still on his slow way, and this means the long-handed will be the main fist of our advance, because he's just fucking slow. Also, I would like to hide our elves, but it's good enough that the enemy can't see us as long as we are in friendly territory. Next turn I will do some reordering here, and we are still... Yes, we get another she-lord and a lot of she-warriors and a slinger. The slingers will possibly all end up under the domain of our good friend the long-handed. And then we'll attack. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I talked with Callum up here in the north somewhere. And yeah, they took the accidental strike in stride. There are some enemy units here. Hopefully not targeting our underwater provinces, because it's not like I can do anything to stop them. Even if I start recruiting. With just one Triton Knight per turn, that's not a lot of things to do. And he has Gibo dice, which can mind blast an army. Something I did myself in solo and test games. It's a neat trick. What happens in a battle is the Mind Lord and the Gibo dice will just chain blasting the enemy, and if there are enough of them, they can stop, at least for a couple turns, every enemy unit that in their tracks. And then they are helpless, while the really shitty slave guardians then just stab them repeatedly. It's nice and effective if you have... The only counter you can have is have tons and tons of cheap chaff in front to soak up the mind blasts, and then you use magic or your own more elite troops to overwhelm the army. In this case we have absolutely fucking nothing. We have these guys here, and if enough of those Gibo dice are there, we'll just mind blast the poor guys all into oblivion. They will just constantly being mind blasted until stabbed in the face, and that will be it though. Triton Knights would be a good way to stab the Gibo dice instead, and with a lance charge they would have a good chance to kill them, but to demonstrate I can just recruit one per turn. And they take up so many recruitment points and resources, I then would have trouble to get any power problem. On the other hand, yeah, that's interesting. Let's try at least. Just in case, because I do not trust really, and until we hit construction free and I can finally forge something to get underwater, it will stay this way. Now we have 3 leaders here, and continue to slowly recruit. Next time we start at the top again and then march down here. And then I will eventually march 2 of them off with most of the units, because they will follow our invasion front to gobble up, hopefully more or less peacefully, some of the underwater units on the way. And that's again for this turn. Let's look what our scouts are doing. Nope. Scout. Wrong scout. Yeah, okay, we have still no idea what is going on here. And thanks to them being elves like us, we have no idea what troops there are. I could maybe get some info, but nope, Glamour is probably still stronger. Then this guy has to stay here. And we have this guy here. Let's march him down here to the other side. Towards to the main enemy capital, Macon, to see how many reserves there are. Because of course it's completely irrelevant if we overrun this entire part here in just 2-3 turns, if there are 100 giants here waiting for us. Here. Well, let's continue doing our thing. Site searching is being done. And hopefully the auto site searchers will follow south towards the front lines if we are advancing and doing some more of this site searching business down there, safely behind us. There was something I wanted to look. Conjuration 4, yes. Our first nice and useful summoning spells. Then construction, then evocation 4. There is something I'm forgetting, I'm sure. Sorry. I really try to think what I've forgotten. Enchantment. What's it here? I know there is a spell I'm forgetting. Oh, it's annoying. Okay. It's probably too late. And work was too stressful. I'm searching for the spell that will be able to uncover more sites for us. But I even shown you the spell, so I don't know why I can't remember. It must be a level 3 or 4 spell. It's driving me crazy, and I know it's obviously a ritual. That's this symbol here. Why can't I remember? That's Okay, I give up. I'll have to do this after I end this recording. Because I can't... It's unbelievable how full of holes my brain sometimes is. I've shown you... shit, I guess I can look at the recording later. Anyway, let's end this cursed turn. Oh no, a double turn. I guess you have to wait even longer, because I want to finish this turn. And we're back. I hope I remember cutting this shit out. We got some more conjuration research. Now that we actually have some mages to do research. And Ree has had unbelievable luck this time. We found 2 magic sites. And Belmar, a catcher gained, a blind man, has donated a curious item to the local temple. The eye catcher is a weapon that can remove an enemy's eye. So I guess this blind man used it on himself is the idea. Ugh. What has our refund? We got Rail Willow, our first site upgrading our gem income for glamour. So now we are at +4 of our slowly growing stack of glamour. And then we have the Druid's Cave, which gives us even more nature. Now we are at +5. We are starting to see something. And that's it. You're done. Go back here, so you can do some research. And now, of course, we can collect them so they're a little bit more useful. Whoops. Anyway, they're not supposed to be in battle. Here, guy, go and collect them, please. Messages? I know that was everything. A calm turn. And we now have our super mage here. Level 4 glamour. Perfect. Sorry, I had to suppress a sneeze. Well, our army is here. What do our scouts say? Not much, because the scout is still slowly moving down there. And our elf scout is still trying to find out where exactly the borders lie here. It's a long, long reverse boot hidden here, I guess. Similar size to Mekonnen, just more stretched out. Well, let's be a bit more elfy. And I guess Arco is building a fortress here. Well, okay. Our reserve army is coming. Yeah, let's continue recruitment. And most of our money is gone because those super mages are incredibly expensive. I'm guessing after that I have to go back to research mages for a while. At least those ladies are also really good at research. 19. That's nice. It's not as effective as 13 pad each turn, but that's at least something useful they can do, since our research is far off now. And it's still making me mad that I can't remember the spell needed for finding new sites. Again, Tapestry of Dreams is not it. It's a spell for spying on other provinces. And then we have Summon Faithful and this. And those. It was the stupid name. At the End of the Rainbow. That was it. Conjuration 4. Ah, phew. So it's not buried under tons and tons of other magic research. We'll get it in 389, 303 per month in 2 turns. And then we'll finally get to our construction research. Troops are being recruited here. So in case we need more armies. And of course, as soon as we have Conjuration 4, I can try out some of those summon spells to see what exactly for odd fake creatures we will get. And here we have a growing number of Pegasi and actual bowwomen. Here is auto research being done. Nice. Let's see how many water sites our gambit can actually turn up. So I'm guessing next turn will be enough, then we'll have to keep them moving. And now it's ready here. The fortress needs still another turn, I suppose. And now we have this fine this fine group of people. Yes, I shouldn't try to pronounce the difficult English words at 10 p.m. in the evening after a long day at work. Yeah, the last misfit is our prophet of Gem and the Holograms, with a nice batch of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6. It's a nice mailed fist, but we want to leave some for the long-handed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, and then we have him. 1. Wait. 2, 3, 4. Oh wow, my keyboard fucked up. That's not. So now we have Army Group 1 with poor Eilgel, but he is moving with the larger combat group in terms of units. And we have the secondary force with our prophet. So let's take a look at the shit. Yeah, of course, if we want to use as fast strike force, we can't use any slingers here. So he gets all of them. And more of the normal units, the she warriors. And I still have a couple of slingers left over. Well, let's make a second squad. I mean, it's not as necessary as in earlier games because routing is now individual. Well, of course, if it's individual, I don't really need more than one squad, because in Dominions 5 and earlier, this would be fatal, because if enough of these guys die, then the entire squad would run away, and then you would have 0 slingers until you've collected the survivors over the next few turns. But here I don't need to think about this, because every unit tests morale for themselves. So if all of these run away, then I would have just lost multiple squads in all games anyway, so I don't need to think about this. It's a nice line formation now, to just stand in front and throw little rocks at the enemy, followed by these guys then marching, and followed by these guys after getting their blessing and marching afterwards. Let's move them a little bit here just to prevent a pile up here in the middle. And then we have the last misfit. Now let's combine forces a bit. The last misfit needs more units. And again, we don't really need more than a second army. Let's upgrade our comrades here a little bit. Let's gift a bit more sacreds in here. So now we have the long-handed with his completely conventional force and some riders as support. And we have our main force, which mostly is just this giant stack of sacreds. So let's see if everyone has the right thing here. Rep. Attack rear, attack rear, attack rear. In this case the blessing is more or less useless, but it's not taking any fatigue. I'm just taking it for 2 reasons. 1, so I don't have to change the script, and 2, the entire purpose of this 3 turns buffing is to keep them away from the front lines and immediately dying if there are too many enemy units in front. So I have a better chance at walking past large enemy blocks and attacking the actual rear, or at least flank the main force and cause a massive rout if they kill enough dudes. And of course there are other reasons. For example, if they give themselves some more poison resistance, they won't die as easily to some random poison dart or something getting through. And of course it could happen that my priest is the one dying. Or I want to send my priest somewhere else and a squad of evil elf riders in the other direction. Then they need to bless themselves, or they would be very, very vulnerable. Is there anything else I have already discovered? Nope, not really. Blur, they're already getting from their blast. Displaced body is just a version of glamour that's spell based. There's not really anything they could use. Gift of the Serpent. This is poison resistance for more than 1. Useful, but the fatigue cost is larger, as these guys are just some kind of magic super cavalry. You don't want too much of that shit. Keep forgetting, is it displaced body or taking units of attack skill reduced by 5, so it's a better blur, but it doesn't stack, so some additional poison resistance is possibly far better, especially since the fatigue cost is at 5 only. Well, let's leave it. I can't think of anything better to do right now. I mean, I could give the, whether it's, uh, let's not fuck with something that works. This is the secondary army, and I move them here, and then I do some final adjustments. And this is the second army. Oh, of course, he is new, so he doesn't have the right thing yet. Hey, you can stay here. Now I have approximately 150 units, which is not much for other armies, but our super elves are kind of like that. So next turn things will get real, because we will simultaneously assault Esquania and the Dragonscale Mountains, and hopefully take them in one go. Then our current plan is to set our slow but bigger army on this tiny thing here before it can be finished, the next fortress. If the player is even caring enough, I don't know. But since he's put down a temple and possibly a lab, he would be mad if he doesn't build up a fortress. So let's get on with it. Oh, we have to magic up some additional units to get this down faster. And our secondary army will then wheel around here, and hopefully with 40 of our sacreds and our elf riders we will do some serious damage. But that's for next turn. This turn is just... you know what? I completely forgot. If we attack this one, we immediately get this one here opened up for us. So this means, sorry guys, it's time to move. Whoop. So, Masatsune, you now stay here, while those two march off to war. It will take 2 turns to get to Snowford alone, and in 2 turns, 1, 2, our army will already be here. But hey, since those guys are so useless on land, it's probably for the best I stay at least 2 steps behind the main army. Recruitment? Well, let's leave it here. And after we are recruiting 2 super mages, I will switch back to research mages here. And maybe if there's enough money left over for she-lords here for the battlefield. Because let's face it, with my aggressive tactics, there will be elf lords dying in battle. And even if not, if I have to constantly reshuffle newborn foot soldiers back to safety, it would be nice if there are some more she-lords on horse already coming from the other direction. But anyway, our invasion plans take on some forms, and we need them because Mekona has already established itself down here on the other side of the river. So with this section and even more around it, we really need to stop Mekona before they can actually use all those resources. Holy shit. Maybe I should start asking the player here in Vanaheim to maybe lend a helping elf hand. Elves forever and all this. Of course, I should wait until I have actually invaded, because for all I know I could have invisible units waiting here, and it would really mess up my plans if he's attacking upwards to cut us off, because, well, human players, they can be right bastards even if they're trying to help you. But if I'm already down here, we have a slightly more elastic border here with him, and if he then joins up, we'll be already up here and have a free road eastwards towards his capital. And if then Vanheim joins up, they'll probably hover up the provinces in this section here and march straight east to also get to Mekone. And hopefully, I am of course dreaming here, because if the player doesn't want to play ball, I'm alone in this mess. But anyway, we can't just stop and sit around doing nothing. So it is. Oh wow, we already have run out of money for our little side quest DSV here down here. That's probably a reference no one will get. And the enemy troops moved off in another direction. Well, it looks like Riley gracefully gifted us this one lonely province. I mean, they're sitting right next to my capital, so if they want to do something bad, that would probably be the decapitation strike I should look out for. For now, let's keep hoping Riley has better things to do and strike at Mekonnen. And that's it for this turn. Yes, everything squeezed out what I would have to do. I can now end this turn and finally eat some lunch. Some very late lunch. Diploidi out.